event information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
Food for 5 years. 1,000 gallons of gas. Air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Telegram, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is March the 18th, 2023, and this is episode 275 of the Workshop Podcast. Maybe not a milestone, but at least a mile marker on the journey that is content creation. And how the hell is everyone out there this evening? Good to have you. So we got a few different things we're going to cover tonight. As always, let's get the announcements out of the way. First off, I have a bunch of friends who are running a festival, Reliance Festival, next weekend. Saturday, March 25th and 26th, $95 for the whole weekend. Like I said, you'll make your money back the first hour in networking alone. I would love to be there, but it is absolutely impossible this time. I'll be at the October one, so it's going to be good. So sign up, go to selfreliancefestival.com. Links in the description. Number 2, I pinned a comment tonight for all those, hey, Ted McDonald, good to see you. I see you brought your emojis with you. Always appreciate you, brother. So if you're looking for a way to support what I do and maybe get a little value for value exchange, what I've set up is the Patch of the Month Club, patchofthemonth.co. $10 a month, $100 a year, and you get one of these really cool tactical patches. So this is the brand new one that everybody's got. It's been shown on social media now, so I'm not giving away the surprise to those who have subscribed. It's a bright orange one for those on audio, and it says 2 is 1, 1 is none, and my little spin on it, 3 is a guarantee. So 2 is 1, 1 is none, 3 is a guarantee. That's what you got this month. Plus, inside the package, I was trying to figure out something I could send to all of the delinquents who have supported me in the workshop so far. So this month, I took a pre-1968 Canadian dime, so it was silver, wrapped one up with a little note and sent one out to each and every member of the Workshop Podcast. I try to come up with different things. I've had people who've been like, hey, I'd like to send out a patch as well. We do that. So I'm always looking to add to your value. It also gets you on a super secret email list that if something new is coming out, you get on there first. So number 3, something really cool. I normally don't talk about 2 events at a time, but this is a big deal. I've told you this before. I'm going to be at the Thrivalist Fair at Addy, Washington, May 28th and 29th. And that evening, that Sunday evening, we're going to have a workshop get together around the fire, maybe a bourbon tasting, a few things. But that's cool. It is, what is it? $25 for a one-person, one-day subscription or entrance. For a family of 4 for all weekend is $50. Now, they just announced a guest today that blew me away. So, Mr. Paul Wheaton is going to be there speaking, I think they said a couple of times. I cannot wait to meet the dude in person, hear him speak, but $50 for an entire weekend. And one more cool thing for my fellow Canucks out there, they're doing the American dollar, a Canadian dollar at par. So, it's $50 American, which, they'll take $50 Canadian, which is about $12 American right now to get you in. So that's a great deal if you're thinking about coming down across the border. So pretty good. For those of you out there, I'm going to try to remind us all because every time I go live, someone says, damn it, Tim, I didn't know you were live. So if anybody thinks of it or wants to shout out on social that we're live, let them all know. I've got it linked and pinned everywhere. I do what I can, but it is what it is. So let's start out this evening with this week in the workshop. And Chris Dixon said that's an amazing deal. It really is. I was impressed that they decided to do it. It's good for everybody. They want to bring, they're not far from the Canadian border. So they want to bring us Canucks down that way. And I'm 99% sure that the border is going to be free and open again to everyone by then, by the sounds of things. But I don't want to say that for sure until I know. So moving right along. 2 carb old fashioned this evening. The only carbs or in the Luxor cherry that's in there. Everything else, it's a sugar-free syrup, which it is what it is, an Angel's Envy bourbon, and a mix of chocolate and orange bitters. Really interesting. Okay, so first off, this week in the workshop, what do I have? Well, first off, hey, wow, there are some people in here I haven't seen in a little while. Good to see you, Brother Jaggy Thistle. I was starting to get concerned. He's across the pond over in Scotland, and my missus is on a jet plane heading out that way as of Monday morning. So good to see you, buddy. And, oh yeah, Chris Dixon says, when you make a community post, you have to click notify me. The default notifications change. That makes sense on YouTube. Yeah, I get you. So first off, I had like a 2-inch level kit put in the truck. So whatever, it is what it is. But the thing that's important, and I don't know if all of you guys know this, but anytime you've had your tires off, after 50 to 100 kilometers, which is like 4 miles, you have to get your tires retorqued. And it's free. You go back to the place where they do it. But for me, I just like to do it at home. So my brother-in-law bought me a torque wrench a few years ago for Christmas. And just a couple of things to know. Number one, know what your setting is. Mine's 135 pounds. They recommend not to leave it set to that because the spring can wear out, but whatever. I leave mine set to it. So there is that. So learn how to use it. Know what size socket you're going to need, which I'm trying to think of 2 things at once there. I can't remember if mine's a 17 or 19 mil, but I have it set aside in the container. One more thing, I have like a little 4-inch extension for 1/2-inch ratchet drive. Those are great because trying to use a non-flexible torque wrench you're going to peel the skin off your knuckles. So that little 4-inch offset is great. And finally, this is something that if you have locking lug nuts on your truck or whatever you happen to drive, a 1984 Chevy Corsica or something like that, make sure you hold on to that locking nut key. Put it somewhere. Mine came in a handy dandy little orange bag that looks like maybe drugs are in it, but it's hard to lose. So make sure you know where it is. Make sure you've used them before you have to change a tire on the side of the road, and don't lose it. And Renegade says he has a 4-inch extension, but it's a 10 millimeter, so he can never find it. Fair enough. So yeah, anyway, also somebody threw me, I think this was on MeWe. They mentioned that if you buy a used vehicle and you see locking nuts on there, make sure you get the key from the dealership before you buy it, because you can have a bad day anyway. Yeah, Chris Dixon says those high-end 84 Chrysler lasers are a high theft item. All right, next. I gave the truck a deep clean. I was going to tell you guys about that because I'm probably going to do a video on it. I've got just a few products that I love that work really well. I'm sure Chris Dixon has some stuff that works really good for him too. But I love the aerosol window cleaner, number one. Never been a fan of the straight up Windex, but the aerosol stuff, it kind of chews into the plastic into the debris and dirt, and you hear it foam up and it kind of eats it a little bit. It does a better job for sure. Hey, David Ziegler, good to see you, brother. So aerosol window cleaner, I use that. And then just a microfiber cloth. Works beautiful. Number 2, Spray 9 for the dash, for, ice cream the kid spills in the seats, anything like that. Works good on upholstery, works good on any of the plastic as well, the vinyl. And then my go-to, once I get it clean, is the Mother's Vinyl Protectant. Its secret ingredient is fish oil, which whatever it is, but it has a beautiful strawberry smell that lingers in the vehicle, and the nice smooth to touch that kind of repels dust for quite a while afterwards. Works great. And I have fallen in love with my wife's Dyson V8 animal cordless vacuum cleaner. That thing is robust. It comes with all the fittings you need. I take it with me to the 12 unit to vacuum over there, and then you can shorten it up, take the shaft out of it, and then use it as a handheld vacuum in the truck. It's great. It puts those Harbor Freight ones I have to shame. So now, one final thing about this, and I did shoot a TikTok for next week on it. I've had tar up around my wheel wells for almost a year. I bought 2 or 3 different products trying to remove the tar. It would not come off. I pressure washed the shit out of it. It would not come off. I assumed it was either permanent or whatever. Anyway, went into my tickle trunk in my garage and found Goof Off Pro Strength. Now, when they say Pro Strength, that shit is Pro Strength, so be careful. But I put it on I had an old bed sheet I cut up, soaked it in that, rubbed it on, and within 10 seconds of scrubbing, each drop of that oil came off. It was so good. So that shit works. Just don't leave it on there, because there are people who say it will eat through your finish eventually. I did take the rag, set it on a piece of styrofoam in the garage. The next day, it was stuck to it and had melted maybe 1/4 of an inch into the styrofoam. So it is potent stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Nate says clay bar for the tar is the best. I'm always willing to try it. Absolutely. Byron agrees with me. Aerosol's the best for cleaning windshields. Yeah, it puts regular old Windex to shame. And Ted uses spray away. I haven't tried that. I'm going to have to see if I have that around here. And we're going to leave Josh's comment alone, and we're going to move right along. So this week was 3 years ago today that some of the best memes ever came out. I had a memory on Facebook, showed a bunch of people in an underground bomb shelter with forts of toilet paper right to the roof, and somebody shouting at the other one, "Did anybody remember to bring food?" So if that doesn't sum up 3 years ago today, I don't know what does. Yeah, okay, Chris says that stuff will etch aluminum wheels. I bet it will. I didn't leave it on very long, but it did the trick. Just be careful. Hung signs at the daycare. They were plexiglass printed. They're really, really good. Now, what I love to use for hanging flat signs is metal roofing screws. They tend to be either self-tapping or they have a really sharp point that goes through signs like that easily anyway. And then they have a rubber-proof washer or a waterproof washer with a flange, and it sucks things in. I use them for hanging signs. It's the best that I found. They come in a number 11 or a number 14. The 11s are usually good for small signs. If you got bigger signs, go with the 14, just a little beefier for hanging on. You can get them in 2 or 3 lengths and different colors, so you can get them to match the color of the sign so that they don't show up so much. I like that. We had a water break at a rental property this week. I get a call at 7 o'clock at night. Oh, hey, by the way, the water at the house that I live in, there was a huge flood in the front yard and it froze. First thing in the morning, the town came. They said they're probably going to have to hook us up to temporary water. Temporary water freezes. They don't call me till 7:30 at night to let me know. Ugh. Anyway, I've already mentioned it. I'm not going to bitch about that too much. I want to show you guys something next. So this is part of this week in the workshop, but about 3.5 years ago, November of 2019, I put up my very first YouTube video. Now, I don't call that the launch of my YouTube channel because I was just testing a few different things. So I put up 2 or 3 videos and then I left it alone until I launched it in February. But I want to show you guys this video is only a minute long anyway. So let's bring it up and see if you guys can hear it. Well, you should be able to because I got the sound shared. So I want to show you this. This was me in my glory with my beard. For those of you out there, yep, a little bit heavier at that time. Anyway, what I want you to see is this door. So I replaced glass in this door. I showed people how to do it. My brother-in-law was on the camera. And this was the start of, I'd been at the business for about a year, just doing little, $15, $20, $30 jobs. And at the time, I didn't know where things were heading. But I want to show you something here, guys. So we're going to close this one out. We're going to bring this one up. Now, spring ahead to 3.5 years later. Did you guys see that door right there on the back of that trailer? That door came off that trailer and went to the dump. I hauled that door off this week because we recently bought that property, a property that I used to get paid to work on and not get paid super well, but that's how the business started. And we've eventually turned it into buying some of our own rental properties. And as I was hauling that damn door off, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. This is one of the very first videos I ever did. We've turned the content creation, the handyman business into being able to buy property. This and the other one was the first properties we bought, and there goes that door. I'm now renovating it because we own that place. So I'm not sharing that. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm tooting my own horn, but what I want to do is inspire you guys to to say, holy shit, it can start with just a little tiny, $50 job to put glass in a door, and it's still there. No, I didn't. But one step closer said, did you hang the door on the wall like the first doll around? I did not. That door went to the garbage. But what I do have is now I have to admit, I've called it a $2 and a $3 snow shovel. I can no longer remember which price I paid for it. The price tag is still on it, but it's faded, so I can't see it. So we're going to call it a $3 snow shovel because, to be as honest as I can, but I saved it and I still have it. And that was what started everything. This was just the first video, and it was a pretty fucking cool experience to do. So I wanted to share that with you guys so that you guys could get, the feelies like I do and think that's what the business did for us. So there you go. That is the independence that entrepreneurship and self-reliance that entrepreneurship can bring for you. I did an entire demolition on that same trailer, stripped the whole bathroom down. I don't know who put the plumbing in there. It wasn't me, but there's a lot of work to be done. There was an old window in there. They just they put plastic over it and then drywalled straight over it and then put the tub in, and it was such a mess. But there was some rot, but there was no mold. So that was helpful. That made me happy. Anyway, it's stripped back to the studs. I'm getting ready next week to start putting it together. We've got all the materials for it. It's been fun. Another thing, what I'm trying to do with this week in the workshop is include a lot of the tools I do, some of the tips and tricks so that it's worth something to you guys. We had a rental, went from rented on the 15th. He moved out on the 15th to rented on the 15th to the new tenant, which was awesome. I had to change the locks because the old tenant forgot to bring me the key back. But if you guys haven't tried these, and Ted's in here, I'd like to know his thoughts on them. I've been using the Quickset or the Wiser Smart Key locks for a while. I really like them. So I think I'm going to start switching all of the rentals to those. But it's so slick because I just installed 2 locks. And then when I'm done, I take 1 key, pop it in, and rekey it with the little tool. It takes 10 seconds to do, and it's super convenient. Jaggy Thistle says, an acorn grows into a beautiful oak tree. We done, my brother, so very proud of you. Well done, my brother, so very proud of you. I can't believe it's 3+ years. I can't either. So yes. Oh, Renegade, I love it. Renegade says, I found an old business card a while back for my first company and got the feels. You give me chills saying that. I love it. I went into a gas station here that I don't frequent very often. I went in one day and I looked around, and there was my very first poster still back on their bulletin board. It had been there for about 3 years. It was the only one that was left. It was in pristine condition. And I swiped it and brought it home because it was too cool to have. So yeah, good for you, Renegade. Proud of you, brother. And Ted says he likes the new Wi-Fi locks. Great for Airbnb. I'll have to look into those. I'm always looking for something new. Let's see what else. We've hit a few mile markers recently that I haven't really talked about. 1,000 followers on Instagram, which was cool. One I'm actually kind of proud of is 200 subscribers on Rumble. Rumble's just kind of growing slow and steady, and just hit 7,000 on YouTube earlier this week. So they're all, I'm going to try to call them mile markers now instead of milestones, because to me, instead of being something you strive for, it's just something you celebrate as you pass along and keep going. Because, the goals or the numbers are there to get to, but at the same time, this year, my word of the year is concentrate. And I want to concentrate on putting out the best content and the best stuff that I can for you guys. And if those mile markers keep passing along, that is an absolute benefit to it. I ordered, and it showed up, a Big Wheels adapter for DeWalt batteries. If you haven't seen those are like those little Jeeps that kids can drive, and it allows you to hook up a DeWalt battery to them. Now, this was after having Evan from Radio Made Easy on, and I was pretty excited to try. I've got a few ideas I want to do, but I'm still waiting on my step up, step down transformer. It's coming on a slow boat from China, 1st of April, but it's going to be some fun times. So right on. Renegade said he's hit 2,500 on TikTok and 300 on YouTube. Guys, if you're not following Mr. Josh, if for no other reason you want to see videos of himself sticking himself with a sword, then give him some workshop love for sure. And you should be. His shit's awesome. Really good. So, Something else I didn't get a picture of up on social yet, but you guys ever see those travel johns? So I reached out earlier to you guys in the community asking about urinals for women. So this was a traveling urination week. But anyway, we got one of those, and it looks like it might do the trick. We're going to make some modifications to it. But, oh boy, yeah. These travel johns are really cool. They were a little expensive, but they were by far the best reviewed product on the internet. And basically, I think 750 mils. So it'll hold a quart of fluid, urine. And as soon as it gets in there, within 30 seconds, it turns to gel, kind of like the gel that's in a diaper. So it's really good for traveling long distances and not wanting to pull over, because that's kind of the bane of my existence when I'm traveling to the States. I'd rather just stop for gas, but sometimes Mother Nature has something else on mind. And finally, for this week in the workshop, the latest shirt, here it is, OG Only Glocks from Special Operations Equipment showed up. When I seen it, it said OG. I'm like, what the hell is that going to say? I flipped it over and it said Only Glocks. And I'm like, yep, got to rub salt into the wound because I can't buy a Glock up here anymore. Makes me sad. But yeah, it's a pretty sharp looking shirt. I saw Ed from Iridium had it posted the other day. And yeah, I always appreciate the shirts John sends this way. So give him support, soeequipment.com. And now the next one. Jaggy says to travel with a Pepsi Max bottle. Yeah, been there, done that too. So you guys, usually Saturdays are a little more chill, a little more laid back. But I've been kind of introducing these semi-regular segments. I love them. I have to come up with a catchy name because that's just how my brain works. But, we started with This Week in the Workshop, and then we came up with Stranger Than Fiction. And that's where we rehash. I pick some interesting news stories that aren't doom and gloom, and we take a prepper's look at them. We have some really cool discussion. I love them. The next one I launched recently, and I just kind of settled on the name. I've been calling it the Nail Bag, but we're going to call it Correspondence from the Nail Bag. And it's where I read an email or, a long comment on YouTube where I share something somebody's taught me or some question I've been able to answer. From there, tonight, hey, Gunfighter Concealment, good to have you. We're going to launch a brand new segment. Renegade says, Buckeyes needs no excuse. Yes, One Step Closer says, having to go to the bathroom is an excuse to go to Buc-ee's. I don't know, is it Buc-ee's or Buckeyes? Somebody help me out here because I'm a lowly little Canuck who doesn't have them except when I travel to the States. So, and yes, Jaggy, I would love that. Snail mail would be great, brother. Him and I have been pen pals on and off. So tonight we're launching a brand new segment. I put it out to the workshop, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Brian Alexevich from the Lots Project came up with the name, and it's going to be called I Read It on the Internet. It's such a dad joke. I freaking love it. And it's where I share highlights from our preppers on Reddit. Now, I'm going to fill you guys in a little bit. First off, if you don't know what Reddit is, it's the self-described front page of the internet. It's kind of like an ongoing forum. There are some low lifes there. There's some high lifes. There's everything in between. It's great though, because you can join the communities you want. You can interact with things if you want. You can lurk if you want, but there is so much top quality information on there. So the communities are kind of in the vein of the old-fashioned bulletin boards and Newsnet groups. So they're something slash. So all the groups are R for Reddit slash. And the group that I frequent is r/preppers. And that there's like 2.5 million people in there. And there is some seriously good stuff. Yes, One Step Closer says Reddit is a glorious freak show. So before we dive into this, I want to share a little story. Years ago, just before I moved out here, I sold computer software over the phone and on the internet. The software was Dragon Naturally Speaking. I worked for a third party called MarketLink out of Saskatchewan. And everything was, it was ahead of its time. We worked from home remotely. And one night I had somebody come on and they asked me, hey, are you the real Tim Cook? So you can see where this is going. And I said, as a matter of fact, I am. And they said, oh, cool. Well, I'm not looking to buy software, but it's great to see Tim Cook moonlighting. And for those of you who don't know, Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. And at that time, he was brand new. So anyway, somebody took a screenshot of that chat that I had with them, the person who talked to me, posted it on Reddit, and it made it to the front page of Reddit, which also made it to the front page of my boss's office. And I caught shit for saying that I was the real Tim Cook. Anyway, that's where the email address came from. That's where the story came from. And that just shows I've been on Reddit way too long, for about 15 years now. So it's great. And yes, Reddit is, Renegade says, Reddit is the shit posting front page of the interweird. True story. So the thing about preppers is, our preppers, number one, you got to know about Reddit. It has a very strong left-wing bent. Not completely, though, because there are hardcore right-wing bent groups there as well. But our preppers is surprisingly sensible. Like, seriously sensible. They're very staunch believers in practical preparedness, which is cool. I love it, okay? Now, here's the thing. And this is saying something coming from me. I would say our preppers is almost a little too, how do you want to put it? Almost too optimistic, like to the point where they almost shit on anybody who talks even a little bit about it's almost, I don't even know how to put it, but they're very practical and they really don't like discussion of things like EMP. I mean, they do, but it has to be done in the right way. It is what it is, but they definitely fall in the optimistic bend. So if you asked me, am I an optimistic or a pessimistic prepper? I would say I'm a realist who tends toward optimism. So I kind of get along over there. I enjoy it. And yeah, so that fills you in. If you ever want to go to reddit.com once in a while and check it out. But you can catch me at Reddit. My username is Toolman Tim's Workshop. I'll probably start a group over there. I don't spend a ton of time, but there's a lot of cool information. So once a month, I'm going to go through the top posts of the month, and I'm going to pick out this maybe 2 or 3 that have the most value. So this one is really cool. This one came from a user named Ale Thorn, and he lives in the Ukraine. And he had a very interesting perspective on living in a war zone. It was actually pretty cool. So he said, as you guys understand, I'm living in the Ukraine, which I thought was kind of sad but crazy, in a city relatively far from the front. I wasn't that much prepperish before this all started, only some experience in backpacking and traveling, watching some survival videos, trying some tricks, etc. So he lays out 7 things, kind of the 7 first things or the 7 things that have happened in their city. The title of his post was 368 Days Under War or something like that. So I thought this was a pretty cool exercise to hear. You know, hopefully this shit never happens to us, but if we ever are, some of the things we can prep for and understand the realistic side of being behind the lines of war. So he said the first thing that was unexpected for me was the psychological aspect. First 3 to 6 days, I was feeling, I don't know how to describe it, just lethargy and disbelief, constant reading of the news. And I can see that, obviously bad mostly. And he said it was an immersion in them, fear of tomorrow. So he was kind of, for those first few days, just absolutely walking under a state of dread. He said, number 2, he said, get ready for your favorite brands or products to disappear from store shelves. The manufacturer might be in occupied territory. They might, leave the business, shut it down and go home, or production might be destroyed. He said things like his favorite tea haven't been on the shelf in the stores in ages. Not a big deal, but again, it affects everyday life, right? He said Russians targeted their oil storages, so we have some very big problems with fuel. This is a really interesting one. He said at some times it was like gas was only 2 to 3. There was only gas at 2 to 3 stations for a city of 2 million citizens. He also said that the quality of gas was sometimes really bad. So he's found that it was better to have something with a carburetor that is not nearly as dependent on gas quality. He said, I don't have a car, but I have a 650cc fuel-injected motorcycle. But when the situation with the gas hit, I bought a smaller 125cc with a carb. Really interesting. I never would have thought of that. But apparently, and somebody who, I know a fair bit about engines, but never thought about gas quality not being quite as important. I guess you can adjust up or down, but interesting. That's a really good tip. Said in the first few weeks, there were some cases of shoplifting. This is kind of cool. And people organized themselves and tied the thieves that they caught up to poles with tape or packing tape until the police were able to arrive. Again, a little bit of vigilante justice. No problem there. Said when the seaports are captured, do not work, the sky is closed, there's really big problems with logistics. Makes sense. Said supplies of everything, electronics, goods. It takes some time to organize new logistics. Okay. Of the food items, canned foods and cereals disappeared from supermarket shelves, first of all, in the first days of the war. Again, I wouldn't necessarily thought about cereals. I guess it makes sense, but canned food, sure, I'd think that. And the last tip he gave, don't live near critical infrastructure like power plants, railroad tracks, defense factories, or those that you don't know exactly what they're doing. They could all be top targets, or even next to similar places that used to be active. Because this is interesting. The enemy may use and is using very outdated data, which is cases where the maps of the year 1968 were found with the enemy, and missiles hit objects that are currently absolutely not military, but in the past, up till 1980, were military units. So whatever a person's opinion is on the war in Ukraine, being a civilian behind the lines of war must be hell. And I thought this was a really interesting look. I mean, I have no understanding of what the poor person's going through, but if we can learn from them, why the hell not, right? So I like that. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I've got one more here. Jaggy says they're not doom and gloomers. They're not. For the most part, they really aren't. They're practical preparedness. And like I said, they definitely, in the prepper group over there, definitely fall on the optimistic side. And I like that. And Gingerbread Farm says gas availability was the trigger for me to get the electric cars. Totally get it. I do. At least, and we've talked about this at nauseum, but at least you could put a bit of a charge in it with some solar panels if you had to. Not ideal, but you could do it. Now, this one, I shared this a little bit with you guys in the Telegram group the other day. This one came, let's see if we can get it up here. This one came from a user named The Blinja. So ninja with a B. I don't know. Anyway, he said, I finally convinced my wife to take out some cash to put away in our preps. Well, actually, the Silicon Valley Bank situation did. He said, I went to the bank today to withdraw $4,000. The lady was helping me was typing on her computer for about 3 minutes. Then she went to another teller. I could hear her say yes, a large amount. The second teller comes over to me, hands me back my deposit slip and says, sorry, our systems are working really slow. Can't help you today. Come back Monday. And then I asked if there was a specific branch or all the branches. Could I go to another one? She said, I don't know. I haven't called them. Boy, that's some shitty service there. If your systems were so slow you couldn't operate, wouldn't you call someone from the company? Obviously, they didn't care. He said, I found this kind of shady. If systems were working slow, wouldn't they tell me that up front? Does it just work slowly for withdrawals, specifically large ones? It didn't make any sense at all. To be fair, I drove to another branch 30 minutes away. They let me withdraw my funds. So maybe the lady was telling the truth. I don't know. Just a weird situation. And I'm wondering if anyone else has tried to take out money recently and had a harder than usual time. So this was just a story about, well, a couple things. Shitty service at the bank. And the underlying idea is how much cash does the bank even keep on hand at this point? So a few different users chimed in, and I thought I'd share some of the thoughts with you. And then I want to share with you a fact that I learned that maybe some of you knew, but I had no sweet clue. So first off, I missed this person's name and I apologize, but they said, I Googled it a handful of years ago. I was talking with a banker and they confirmed the math. The current math for the United States is if you took all the hard currency in circulation and divided it amongst the populace, it would be about $6,500 per person. Not bad, but not great. Number two, this one, I just like this because this was a cool historical fact. Outlander Mom said, I worked in a bank and then a savings and loan in the 1980s. On payday Friday, it was nothing for me to go through $1 million in cash. That was before direct deposit, so everyone cashed their check. Insert your Austin Powers meme here. $1 million. But that is a lot. I don't imagine my local bank goes through $1 million in a month now. But anyway, now, The one that, well, okay. The next one is, you guys will love this person's username, Gold Destroys the Fed. I liked it. But they said, it's ludicrous that my mattress could provide a larger cash withdrawal on demand than a licensed banking institution. And then he says, I say pull every goddamn penny from them all. Well, I wouldn't say that, but I would say it's never a bad idea to have some cash on hand, as we've seen recently. Just before I went on the show, I had, I don't know if you guys can see this. Our cell service is down again. I'm not going to get that to focus, but the SOS is up here again. So, and Chris said, here it is. Small banks don't carry that much cash. It took 2 days to take out 15,000 last week in Mayberry. Mayberry sounds like something from a 1960s family sitcom. I like that. But here's the one that I learned something. This is from a guy named Zandu. The names over there are horrible, but you guys will appreciate them. And I didn't believe this. You know what? I'm going to share this first because Josh is not wrong. Now, it's electronic, yes, but Renegade Butcher says Bitcoin is the new mattress. I agree totally. I still say you need to have hard cash on hand, and you need to have, I think, some gold or silver on hand. But yes, Bitcoin, much more secure for sure. So yes, now here it is. Zando. And I didn't believe this when I read it. There are literally zero reserve requirements whatsoever for banks in the United States after 2020. Reserve requirements. This is a quote from the article. As announced on March 15th, 2020, the board reduced reserve requirement ratios to 0% effective March 26, 2020. This action eliminated reserve requirements for all depository institutions. So, on paper, that reads like, now this is only in the United States, but it's been the case in Canada since like 2017, I believe. There is zero requirements for banks to have cash on hand. Now, there are physical business requirements that require them to have some cash because they need some, but they're allowed at this point to make up their mind however much or however little they want. So there is no, I do not like government restrictions or requirements. I get it, but it was an interesting piece of data that I dug into and found out it is 100% true that banks don't have to have physical cash anymore. So, if there was a little good old-fashioned bank run, I don't think it would take very long for that cash to run out. Go back 3 years ago today when people were building forts out of toilet paper. Here's what I'm going to say. If you needed toilet paper that day, you were doing it wrong. You should have had toilet paper ahead of time. Because at that point, you're taking away from people who probably really need it. And one thing about us as being preppers is the fact that we're going to stock up ahead of time so we can help other people so that we don't have to throw ourselves into the mercy of the crowds, and so that it leaves more for other people to go and buy. So when it comes to it, cash is the same way. So build your little toilet paper fort out of cash ahead of time so that if there ever is nervousness, or in my instance, where I've been at a couple of times when service has gone down and the bank machines get cleaned out, there you go. So Nate says, Aaron and I were talking about gold, silver, cash, Bitcoin a few days ago. It doesn't hurt. It took a little while for Becky to get on that train too, but we're definitely on it together now. And Renegade says diversify for sure. And Nate says, sounds like your wife needs to get her ham radio ticket. Yeah, well, let me get mine first, okay? Let me upgrade mine first. Let's put it that way. And Chris Dixon says, that's right, Josh. It's what I call our little backwater town. Town council hates it. Fair enough. And Gingerbread Farm says, you're just a hoarder. You should share. Exactly. Yep, because I deserve it, damn it. I know I'm going to keep telling you this, but I've been reading Atlas Shrugged lately, and that just reminded me of it. So that was our new segment. And thanks to Brian Alexovich for coming up with the great name of I Read It on the Internet. Absolutely. And I said ham radio, so let's have a drink. All right. So let's get to the meat and the bones. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. What you guys showed up here for. No, not really. But all right. 10 side hustles I don't know what they're doing over in the Telegram group tonight, guys, but the things just keep popping up with my name involved in some weird descriptions. So if you want to have fun at the Telegram group, grab that link in the description and go over and join, because they're having fun. And yeah, it is what it is. So I looked back and I realized that I haven't done an episode or content really on side hustles since August of 2020, 2.5 years ago. And in that video, I mentioned that the channel had grown to an exponential, huge community of 270 subscribers. So if that doesn't tell you how long ago it's been a while. So let's dive in. Gingerbread says they are naming my Tennessee property. Very cool. We're going to put a flagpole up. Renegade Butcher's going to build it, and we're going to put a workshop flag, and whoever shows up gets to push their flag up underneath mine on the pole. So that'll be great. I love it. All right. So number one, cleaning services. And these are all from personal experience, at least these 10. Next week, now you're going to notice all of these. There's a couple of things. All of these are things I've done. They're all things you can do with whatever you happen to have lying around. And they're all handyman-based services to start with. Now, and the key word is service. It's something you're offering. You're exchanging your time, maybe a bit of skill, but mostly time and sweat equity to make money from somebody who either can't or doesn't want to spend the money. Now, next week when we do 10 more, we might dive into a little different bent to that, but we're going to start with cleaning services. So you can call it janitorial services. You can call it putting out a bid for, cleaning and set up and set down, whatever you want to call it. But the first thing you're going to want to do is just talk, call around. More importantly, go around to all the office buildings. Those are the ones that tend to put out their cleaning services every couple of years, or more often than not, we're really pissed off at the present cleaning company because they don't do A, B, and C. So we're looking for somebody new, but they don't necessarily think about it until you knock on their door and say, hey, I am Tim from All Seasons Maintenance. I'm wondering if you are looking for a cleaner or a janitorial service, something like that. So the first thing you should do is reach out, learn how to put bids in. Like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago on my show, we put in a bid to the local fire department. And I learned a lot from that because it was like an 8-page report that you had to fill out. And it was things like you had to be there by a certain time in the morning to clear the snow. You had to go in and clean up after events. You had to set up chairs. You had to tear down chairs. So you got a feel for, hey, how long is this going to take? Is it worth the work? And then you got the heartbreak of not getting the contract afterwards. We tried the fire hall out there. Then we tried the police station here. But at the last minute, I decided not to submit the paperwork. I filled everything out, but there was just too many requirements that I wasn't happy with at the time, including things like some serious need for environmental and reusable products that just didn't fit what we were doing, and I didn't have the energy or the time to do it. We filled it out and then decided, no, we're not going to do it. Then I approached a guy who had oil field trailers for rent, and those things are nasty gross. They get all that thick, gorpy oil in them. Anyway, he said, I'm looking, but I decided to go a different route. A year later, he calls me when I'm still working at the farm store and says, hey, are you interested? Yeah. And I took it on the spot. And we got paid $250 per trailer to clean them, which wasn't bad. It would take one person on average about 8 hours to clean. So the hourly wage wasn't great. 2 people would take about 4 to 5 hours. Quite often we'd take 3 people with us. Eventually we gave it up, but we got that contract and that paid us a lot of money for the first couple of years until we were ready to move on from janitorial services. Then we picked up, I can't remember the name. It was a fairly big oil company. They had offices here in town and they were looking for cleaning services. So we picked Baker Hughes. That was the name of it. And we ran it until their offices went out of business. And it wasn't bad. Couple of things. There is flexibility. So in that office, I had to clean once a week, but it had to be done anywhere between Friday at 5 o'clock and Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you wanted to go away for the weekend, you could do it when you got back, or before you started, before you left, there was some flexibility, but there was also a tie because you had to be around every weekend to clean, or you had to hire somebody to do the cleaning for you. So there's that. Chris Dixon says, even if there are other people doing it, put it out there, put in the bid. Don't worry about stepping on toes. Free markets require competition. Yes, they absolutely do. And it's worth doing because even if, in my case, the fire chief's, was it niece or daughter, whatever it was, a member of his family ended up getting the job. Even if that happens, you learn a whole bunch of stuff. So it's the process of doing it. It's great. I love it. But it hurts at times, especially early on. You're like, well, shit, I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to get it. It would have helped a lot. And then you don't. But the next time you're like, okay, what can I learn from and what can I do next? All right. From there, we now have a lady who cleans our house for us. She charges $30 an hour, which is a very reasonable rate. And I mean, she doesn't clean every day. She comes once a week. It helps Becky out, and I don't have to do it. Now, I've told her a few times that she really needs to charge a little bit more. But she does the job, and she does a great job. And the thing is, it is really hard to find a good quality cleaner. Okay, sorry, let me back up. There's lots of people who come and do a decent job cleaning. The problem is getting them to show the fuck up. We had a lady, and this is what happened. We hired her, and she wanted to charge $15 an hour. And I said, you're not charging enough. You're not going to want to do it. She was an elderly lady, super nice. And she talked to me, and every time she came, well, you and the wife got to come out to the farm. We'd love to have you out for supper. And then one day she just didn't show up. And so I called her and I said, we were hoping you'd come this week. She said, oh, I can't do it anymore. My husband says it costs me too much to drive there to do the work. And I said, I told you we would pay you $30. And she said, no, I only felt right charging $15. I'm like, okay, have a nice day. And I hung up. I do not get people. You can write your own, you can charge whatever you want if you're just fucking reliable. And the lady we have now is great. And she is 90% reliable. And to be honest, in this business, I'm happy with that. Now, when you start something like this, for the first while, now use what you have on hand. So go out to your garage, look at your cleaning supplies and say, well, I got some Windex. I've got some generic, spray cleaner, and I got some Windex, whatever. And I got an old mop and a broom. Guess what? Great. Now, the other thing is a lot of offices will either give you the supplies or at least have like the mop bucket, the broom, the vacuum, that kind of stuff. So, but use what you have to get started. Just get there, do the job, and then take that money and reinvest it back in the business. It's key, but it doesn't take a lot. I think I have 3 now, but I bought one of those great industrial strength mop buckets. Best investment I ever made. It's Tim-proof, and the mop is basically Tim-proof. I have 3 of them now. I've picked up 2 from left behinds at other jobs that like when I clean out bank properties. Always enjoy it. I love finding that stuff for free. But I did buy one, and it was like $200 for the mop bucket, the mop, and a couple extra mop heads. So invest back in it. Doesn't take very long. Get yourself a little stockpile of material. Ask other cleaners what they do. Read up on the internet. Find the little tricks like taking 20 good garbage bags, folding them up, putting them in the bottom of the garbage can so that you don't have to always chase around for bags, that kind of stuff. Yes, 2 more things here. Ted says trustworthiness is the key for a house cleaner. You are correct. Never thought of that, but you are right because you are trusting someone to be in your house while you're not there. And Chris Dixon says reliability is like gold, almost a license to print money. Man, ain't that the truth? That is so, yeah. Let's say reliability is the 3rd precious metal because it really is. And if you can show up, even, yeah, it doesn't take much to show up more than the average Joe. So it is. So that's the first one, cleaning services. Number 2, cleaning gutters or eaves trough, as you guys love to hear me say. But they, yeah. So Gingerbread says bid tools into the cost. Yes, that's a great way to do it as well. If you need something, say, hey, this job's going to be $200 and I need half it up front. Don't be scared to ask for money up front because if you're new in business, listen, I just called a company 2 days ago who knows who I am. So there's no issue there. They do $100,000 jobs all the time. they're a hydrovac company that's going to dig up the front yard of this rental, and they want a payment up front. No problem. That's just part of it. It just solves the unknown. It takes care of the unknown. So if you need to ask for half it up front, ask for it so that you can take it and buy tools with it. Just don't get half it and then not show the fuck up, because that's a really quick way to get a bad name in a small town. Cleaning gutters is great because you get two people. You get the people who don't want to do it and the people who can't do it. And to be honest, the people who don't want to do it will pay you more because either they're scared or they just don't have the time. But either way, the average house, I charge about $100, although we haven't been doing a lot of them anymore because we've moved into property management, but it's great. What do you need? Well, just about everybody has an extension ladder. So start with what you have. I had the most jinky, chintzy little aluminum ladder. I probably shouldn't have been up it, but I made it work. And then I swapped with a guy, did some trading, and ended up getting a nice fiberglass ladder from him. So what do you need? A ladder, a bucket, gloves, and a scoop. That's it. You can get a bucket or a pail on the side of the road. You can steal your wife's garden trowel like I've done on multiple occasions, and you probably have a pair of gloves kicking around. It's really seasonal. You can do it usually spring and fall, but it's something that people will call you every year to do. You do a good job. You wash them down. Make sure you don't leave the dirt on the front, like where it washes out of the downspout. And you can kind of count on a big chunk of money all at once. It's really, really nice. And yeah, I love that. Chris Dixon says, Eaves trough is on the house, gutters are on the street. Yes, you're right. Exact. And Josh Sloan says, I'm too afraid of heights. Yes, there's a guy who is a very high up oil executive guy that I know here in town. And he's very capable of doing a lot of things, but he hires us every year to do his eaves because he is scared of heights, and he pays well for it. And there's no problem there. So it's great. I love it. Right. All right. From there, like I said, the sky's the limit. The cool thing is, for the most part, it's built in business. So once you have a customer, they're going to call you every year because most people want it done every single year. If they don't, well, don't worry about them. But you can take on as many customers as you want. You can have a waiting list to say, I might only be able to do 10 or 20. You look at it and figure out how many you want to do, and then take it on and figure out like, hey, I'd like to make $10,000 this year. Well, if you charge $100 a house and you do 50 in the spring, 50 in the fall, there's your 100,000. Wait, did I do that right? No. Anyway, 100 times 100 is $10,000. There's your $10,000. So it works. Yeah. And Jaggy says disabled and elderly folk get folks in to do the work. Yeah, absolutely. I ran into that a lot. I'm not trying to sound mean, but they overall tend to be a slightly more difficult customer who is on a very fixed income. So they're great people to work for, but just know that your pricing structure for elderly and fixed income individuals is going to be on the lower end, right? So yeah. Chris Dixon says, sounds like my basement reno. I paid 4 contractors and 2 lawyers. Oh dear God, that really sucks. So yeah. And then take that money and invest in a really good ladder, something like that. Number 3, cleaning windows. You guys know I can make $100 an hour all day, every day. Well, not every day, but when I do it, $100 an hour. Now, again, if you said to somebody, I'll come clean your windows for $100 an hour, they're going to kick you in the ass and laugh you down their driveway. But if you tell them $5 a window and you can do 20 windows in an hour, they don't care. And the other thing is, if you're being paid by the window, there's nobody watching you. Oh, he's on his phone, or, oh, he had to run out and get supplies. Well, we bet, none of that happened. You don't need to worry about it. They know they have 35 windows, and at $5 a window, you're going to pay $175 for their windows to get washed. And they're happy with that. They know before you start, they know after they finish, there's no surprises, and they don't have to worry about how long it takes you. All they worry about is the quality of the job. Now, it's one of the simplest to do and one of the hardest to master. So practice at home. But once you do and you get good at it, you can make all kinds of money for sure. Civil Defense Canada says, if there's a lesson from your old cleaner, it's never undersell yourself. Look at market rates and undercut it to get started. I do stuff on the side, and that was a big life lesson. Charge what you're worth. Yes. I have never taken on a job where I undercut a price or give somebody a deal that I enjoyed. I always felt like a bag of shit. I always felt like this job is just, it always takes longer when you know you have to underprice something, and it's just not worth it. Know what you're worth and be prepared to walk away if they won't pay it, because that's not the customer you want. Jaggy says, and if you give a discount for veterans, police, fire, not just military, word spreads as they usually are in groups or veterans. Best advertising is word of mouth. Yes, or even just say, I don't know, there's lots of things you could do without having to give a whole big discount away, but you could say, I cater to veterans, or, if you are a veteran, it's great to advertise that veteran-owned business, that kind of thing. But you can give a little discount, sure. But like you said, they travel in groups and word travels fast. As far as what the gear costs for cleaning windows, $30 on Amazon will get you an all-you-need kit. And then you can upgrade. I think my total window cleaning kit now costs $100, and it's top of the line. I love it. And it's lasted me 4 summers now. Works great. Next, hey, speaking of quality, there's my very successful brother-in-law, Barrett Bishop, who does incredible work as a mechanic. He's gone out on his own. I've told you guys this, but he says people will gladly pay when the quality is there. Yes. I told Mr. Bishop that they would, and he's done very well because he is charging what he's worth and he gets his money. Oh, this is good. Dixon says, never undercut. I have a barber joke about we fix $1 haircuts. I'll share it with you if you haven't heard it. Never heard it. I'd love that. When Becky and I first met, we just got together. I'd never had someone cut my hair other than a barber, and I still wasn't buzzing my hair. So anyway, she tried to cut it for me and it did not turn out at all. So we ended up having to go down and get it cut at a hairstylist, tried to fix it. And soon after I started buzzing my hair. So yeah, I get it. $1 haircuts are never a good thing. Dump runs. They've been my bread and butter. I love going to the landfill, if for no other reason than all the cool stuff you get to see. I shot a TikTok out there the other day, seen this really cool pull-out handle fridge, one of the old, the ones that would survive a nuclear blast. Really cool. But anyway, I love going to the dump. If you already have a truck, then don't go out and buy one, of course, if you don't have one. But if you have a truck and a trailer, you're good. If you don't, hell, rent a U-Haul, a Home Depot truck, because you might say, well, Tim, that shit costs money. Well, sure it does. But here's the deal. Just build it into the cost of what you're doing. Book 5-10 jobs in a day. Rent a Home Depot truck. Just don't beat the hell out of it, or get the insurance and beat the hell out of it. I don't care, but do what you need to do to get the job done. Yep. Renegade says, whatever you think you should charge, double it and figure out who your real customers are. Absolutely. I don't disagree. I disagree whatsoever. Remember your landfill fees. They can burn you. Also keep an eye on them, because every year at the end of the year, things change. Most recently, my landfill will no longer allow me to drop off garbage in someone else's name and put it on their bill. I now have to pay for that on my bill. So I just need to make sure that I am adjusting for that. Ratchet straps are your friend. Find yourself a good quality, inexpensive ratchet strap, because the last thing you want is that shit to fly off and go through somebody's windshield. Maybe a cargo tarp or a cargo net as well. I don't have one. What I tend to do is keep the big flat goods and put them on top, like you saw in that picture. I'll put the loose stuff on and then put the door on top and strap it down. Charge a lot. Charge as much as you can. I'm going to tell you a little story. So I got a phone call from a cranky old man quite a few years ago. He asked me if I could haul away some old gutters that had been pulled down. And I said, sure, give him my price. And he never called me back. No problem. So a year later, I see a phone number I recognize. He calls again and he says, how much would it be to haul a mattress away? And I said, well, what is that? What is it? He said, it's a king mattress. It's in the garage. And I knew it was an old guy. Now my flat rate is anything fits in the truck is $75. Just simple as that. That's all it is. If I have to go to your house, pick up shit and take it to the dump, it's $75. Now I told him, I said, if you have any other garbage that'll fit under or on top of that mattress in my truck, I will take it for $75. But before I said that, I thought, oh, this is a poor old man. So I told him $50, and he just about shit kittens. He was like, how do you stay in business charging so much, $50 to haul a mattress to the dump? And I wasn't in a good mood that day. And I tore a strip off him uphill and down. And I said, would you like to know? I said, before I start at the beginning of the year, I have to pay $4,000 for insurance. I said, I have a truck payment. I have to have gas. I have to pay landfill fees. I said, how the hell would you expect me to show up anywhere and pick anything? He says, you must be rolling in the dough if you're charging $50 to haul a mattress to the dump. I should have told him 75 and hung up on him. But anyway, so he was not my type of customer. I blocked his number and he can't call me anymore. But those are not the type of people you want. There you go. Chris Dixon says, a dump trailer rental is $125 for 3-day rental from Home Depot. Holy shit. How many dump runs could you make in 3 days? You want to believe it. If I lived closer to Home Depot, I'd rent one of those when I clean out houses. Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. We don't have mattress tipping fees here, but every other landfill around us does. $20 for the box spring, $20 for mattress and box spring. So we're lucky we don't. That's coming, I'm sure. Shit kittens, a Canadian thing. I don't know. I just get going and whatever comes out, comes out. So shit kittens sounded good tonight. Pooper scooping, pet waste cleanup. It's a good one. $20 to $30. I went to Canadian Tire and bought 2 high quality pooper scoopers because I wasn't breaking them. I was fucking losing them. So I've got like 4 in my garage because I couldn't find them at all for a while. But what do you need? A pooper scooper, a bucket, and some garbage bags. Oh, and some gloves and a good pair of headphones because it's one of the most, I love scooping up dog shit in the spring when it melts. It's like, a dinosaur bone excavation as you see the layers of snow melt and you're able to pick it up. But honestly, people will pay almost any price to have you go out and clean up all those bombs when it melts. Now you can offer an ongoing service if you want. Some people want you to come every week. I had one lady, that's the only one that ever went for it. I would do hers before I would mow every time and I charged her extra for it. You can also offer an upcharge to haul it away. Because I did not haul it away. I put it in garbage bags and it went in their garbage bin. Now, if it's a Thursday and garbage day is on a Wednesday, 6 bags of dog shit in a hot garbage bin for 6 days, that's an easy upsell. So you throw it on your truck, you charge 5 people $75 a piece to haul it to the dump. There you go. Or $50, whatever you want. But there you go. You can do it as a seasonal service as well. Lots of people just like to do it in the spring when the snow melts. I was charging $100 per yard. It would take me about an hour to do. You can do 6 of those easily in a day, no problem. So 6 in a day, 5 days, $3,000. There you go. Yep. Letty Lou says poop patrol. And Renegade says, if you can shit kittens, it should be a side hustle if folks have rodent problems. Hi. Oh, here's one from Tori. She said, I paid $350 for college hunks hauling junk to take my California King mattress, box spring, and metal frame. So I'm guessing when these college hunks show up, they put on a strip show for you because for that price, they should. I mean, I know California King is heavy, but I'm thinking like Chippendales show up like Chris Farley. You remember when Chris Farley did his Chippendales set? But anyway, yeah, for $350. Oh, yeah. All right. Number 6. This is probably the one I've been the most proud of over the years. Tilling and aerating. Now, tilling goes without saying. You guys know what rototilling is. We don't need to talk about that. But aerating, I didn't know it was a thing until I moved to Alberta. Because for the most part, where I grew up, people did not spend money to have people aerate their lawns, punch little holes in it, make it look like dog shits on their lawn. But it's a really well-paying thing. Now, here's the deal. A gas-powered walk-behind aerator is in the thousands of dollars. I was given one and I didn't even keep it. The reason is they're big, they're bulky, and they're unreliable if they sit around all winter. I had no reason for it. But what I can do is rent one for less than $100 for a day, and I can do 10 lawns in a day. I can make $1,000 roughly, minus the cost and the gas I put in it. And whenever you rent something, as Dad always said, make sure it goes back as good or better than it was when you picked it up. Always give it a wash. I always take a screwdriver and punch the little aerators out so the mud's out of them. Give it a good wash, and then always make sure it's full of gas before you take it back. Because then when you call them back, when you call the place, they will take care of you. So yeah, book a bunch all in one day and gets it done. Chris Dixon says aerating residential lawns is akin to climate change. It pays real well, but it's asinine. I agree. And Ted says he's picturing Tim in pasties. Oh boy, I must have said something I missed there. So yeah, but it pays well. Lots of people will pay you to do it in the spring and in the fall, whatever, but rent it instead of buy it, because the last thing you want to do is trip over that damn aerator all year long for 1 or 2 days worth of work. Also, I didn't know how to aerate. I didn't know how to use the machine. So what did I do? I went out and picked it up the night before. I took it home and I practiced on my own lawn. I figured I didn't want to look like a total idiot doing it for the first time for a customer. So my lawn got a free aeration on the cost of 10 other customers. So another way to do it. This one, if you guys know Ford, well, any of you guys ever spent any time on the Zello group for the Survival Podcast? Ford is on there. He's a friend of mine on Facebook now. I believe he's the first one who mentioned this business idea to me way back when I was just getting started. Grill cleaning, barbecue cleaning. If it's something you do already, then why not do it for other people? There's a few things you have to do, but it's not that bad. Put down a tarp, roll the grill onto it. That way you're not getting a mess all over. Dixon says, practice, practice, practice. Sounds familiar. Yeah, why not? Because then you're giving good value to the customer and you're minimizing your liability, because you're like, oh, I'm not going to screw things up. Yes, One Step Closer said power washing. I had that on my list for tonight and I took it off because I thought it was such a giveaway. It's just one of those easy ones, but we'll talk about that probably next week. But power washing is great and it's cheap. Grill cleaning. Like I said, something you're probably doing already. What do you need? A good degreaser, some steel wool. Just make sure you clean up your mess. Give it a good cleaning. Offer to replace parts. Order replacement parts for people. You can also offer a propane drop-off and pickup if you want. Look into local laws, allowed versus able, but it is one of those things. But you could absolutely always keep a full 20-pound tank of gas in your vehicle and then swap it out with a customer, charge them an upcharge, and then go refill it. You could also add on furniture cleaning and deck cleaning as well if you wanted. Great opportunities, right? Freedom Media Corps says Rottweiler pups and stud services. Yes, stud services for dogs are a great way to make some money for sure. Renegade says if you know how to skin or process deer, it's seasonal, but damn good money. Seasonal tends to be, the money comes in waves. My best friend Danny out east for many years would take 2 weeks, his 2 weeks vacation from being a grocery manager every year. And he would go up the valley. Every morning he'd get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. He'd go straight up and he would pick, I don't know how many flats of strawberries. Flats is 12 quarts of strawberries. He would pick as many as he could until it got too hot. Then he'd drive straight back to town and he would sell them on the side of the road. And he did well. He would make, I believe they paid for his cabin by doing that. So that's the type of get up and go that a person has to have. Number 8, Christmas decorations. So, what do you need for Christmas decorations? Not much. How about a ladder? How about somebody to hold it for you? And what I like to have is my own hooks. So I have my own kind of, it's hard to picture them, but they're flat with a little bump like this and then teeth like this. They slide underneath the shingle and they hold really, really well. And I buy them from the grocery store from Walmart ahead of time at the end of Christmas. And I usually pay $1 a piece for those hooks. It's way cheaper than buying them when they're in stock, right? Chris says, let's see, always ask if there's anything else they'd like to not do themselves and pay attention once you're allowed on the property. Gutters is your bird's eye view of the yard. That's awesome. I love it. What else we got here? Freedom Media says Christmas tree sales. And then Renegade says Christmas tree haul off. So you guys are kind of getting the theme of what we're talking about tonight, because here's the deal. You're going to charge them once to put the lights up. You're going to charge them a second time to take those same lights back down. So, hey, who do we got here? Surf Cloud. Good to have you. Late arrival, but not repeating a suggestion, but every farm boy would get beer money by selling firewood. Pick up and chainsaw board from dad. Just return both full of gas. Great idea. I have just one so far, but I was really proud of it. I had to cut up a tree. I posted on social media that I was cutting up this big pine tree. Another customer of mine said, hey, Tim, how much for that pine wood? I need some for the wood stove in the house. I said, I don't know, $100 for the truckload. And he jumped on it. I think I underpriced it, but it didn't matter. I didn't care. So here's the deal. I got paid to cut the tree down. I got paid to haul the brush to the dump. I got paid to haul the wood to the dump. And I sold that wood to a customer. So it did not matter. 3 times I got paid, and it works. Absolutely, Surf Claude. I love that. That's a great suggestion for sure. Gingerbread says his boss lets him use the bucket truck for Christmas lights. Yeah. One Step says bundle, bundle, bundle. Makes a lot of money. Bundle your services for sure. Now, when you're doing Christmas lights, offer to sell extension cords. Offer off-season storage. Maybe the customer doesn't want to. Maybe you supply the lights. There's no end to what you can do. There's whole cottage industries that have sprung up around designing Christmas lights, delivering Christmas lights, installing Christmas lights, and then storing them at the end of the year. Can you imagine the money that could be made from that? Love it. All right. Who doesn't love money? I mean, right? That's what we're here for. So next, number 9. Nest removal. Oh, actually, first off, I missed one from Nate back here. He said, nuisance animal removal. We got taken to the cleaners to remove 2 skunks from our old place. Yes. And I would charge through the roof for skunks. I worked with a guy who was a fur trader at Home Hardware years ago, and he did this exact thing. He said raccoons loved red Doritos. Don't know why, but they did. I can't remember what he used for skunk bait. But what he would do is, in theory, once the skunk got in the live trap, it couldn't raise its tail to spray you. In theory, of course. But he would sneak up very quietly, throw a blanket over the live trap, load it into the back of his 4x4 little Jeep thing he had, drive off, tie a rope to it, heave the thing out into a lake, wait until this big pool of oil came up, and then get rid of it that way. So there was money, but there's a risk involved in that, and not something I'd necessarily want to do. Nate said $250 to set the traps, $270 to remove each animal. Woo-hoo, wow. Nate, I think you should get into that. I think that would be a great side hustle for you, and I bet you there is some skills you could learn in that, because you could learn taxidermy, or you could learn how to, fix up pelts, and then you could trade them as well. Always a great idea. Renegade Butcher had to fish a possum out from a dryer. That was fun. Absolutely. I bet that was fun. Whew. When I was in college, I went to a Bible college, so the guys were not allowed in the girls' dorm. The girls were not allowed in the guys' dorm. 2-3 times a semester, we would have what they called open dorms from 6 to 8 at night. Guys go in the girls' dorms, girls go in the guys' dorms. The girls were nice enough to bring in 3 dead fish and hid them up under the sink in the guys' bathroom. And about, a couple of weeks later, yes, allowed versus able, Chris Dixon. There's always an option and an opportunity, right? So yeah, after a while, the guys' bathroom smelled much worse than normal, as you can imagine. Hornet's nest removal. This one was great. So I'm going to see if you... So I've made $100 for 15 minutes worth of work. One night, somebody said, Tim, can you haul away a hornet's nest? And I said, yes, I can. So then I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I turned to the TSP Facebook forum at that time, and I asked the hive mind how to deal with a hornet's nest. See what I did there? Oh boy. So anyway, a few things. Always be leery of local laws and rules, because every time I post videos about this, somebody's like, you can't do that. I'm like, fuck off. The homeowner wants me to remove that nest. It's a safety issue. Then I do. So here's what I built. I took a heavy duty shop vac. I took the hose that comes out from it. I put a threaded and barbed fitting on there, tightened it down, then put a 12-foot length of 1.5-inch ABS pipe on that. Inside the shop vac, I put a little bit of water and dish soap. Good night, Brother Jaggy. Always love having you on here, brother. 2:15 in the morning. What a trooper he is. Fellow delinquent from the workshop crew. Always appreciate you, brother. Soap and water in the shop vac. It really helps to have 2 people. You basically show up at dusk, so they're already back in the nest. I wear a sweater, tuck my gloves in, pull the hood down so the only thing that's showing is my face. I show up. My helper either has a can of high-pressured spray to spray it with or a garden nozzle to spray it with. And we suck the shit out of the nest. So it basically, you wet it down. As soon as you break, it starts sucking pieces in. You suck the hornets, everything down, and it destroys it. A flamethrower would be great, mounted on a drone. I just don't want to burn the poor person's house down because they're almost always up under the eaves and things like that. But Chris Dixon has a drone. Maybe he could try that. That would be fun. And number 10, appliance hookup and haul away. This is great. First off, guys, I got a shout out tonight. We have got a huge crew in here. We got 27 people on the live stream. Not quite a record, but the largest crew we've had in a long time. The workshop, I can feel the momentum coming. Keep it pushing, guys. I love it. Thank you. I really, really do. I love these Saturday night shows. Appliance hookup and haul away. Here's the thing. In my town, we don't have an appliance store. The closest one is an hour away. So quite often people call and say, Tim, can you pick up an appliance? And I say, yes, I can. So I will charge them to pick up the appliance. I will charge them to remove their old appliance. I will charge them to hook up their new appliance, and I will charge them to remove their old appliance and haul it to the dump. Lots of money to be made. Now, here's the thing. You need to take care. You need to absolutely be safe. Don't put scratches on the walls. Do not scratch their floor. What do you need? Really about two things. The best dolly cart you can afford. I spent $400 on a U-line all aluminum one because I lost my dolly cart, didn't know where it went, and it's a beautiful one. I spent an extra $100 for the flip down foot on it. So it has screws, it flips up, so it acts like a normal dolly cart, but when it comes down, it's twice as deep as a normal dolly cart, and it allows you to haul great big loads. I love the thing. Now, it also has enough space that if you want to, you can use a ratchet strap to strap the item on there. It also has built-in kind of rubberized sleeves so that it doesn't dig into the appliance. Now, another tip, if you're putting a ratchet strap on to hold something to a dolly cart, make sure you put the handle, the ratcheting handle, on the back. Because what I have done on many occasions is I have tightened it down because it's much easier to tighten it down on the side of the appliance. Then you get to a tight doorway and you're like, well, motherfuck, what am I going to do now? So ratchet strap it to the appliance. Also have insurance as well. You are 100% right, Ted. Now, on the idea of insurance, everybody knows their own risk tolerance. I worked for about 2 years without insurance. Not ideal, but again, don't let the toolbox fallacy get in your way. You know, if you need insurance, take a job or two, save up the money. I'm not telling you to work without insurance, but I'm also saying don't let it get in your way. But figure it out. You absolutely need to. Oh, that's a good idea. Renegade Butcher says, I used the old carpet scraps, glued them to the bottom of your dolly. Awesome idea. And yep, Chris Dixon says, haul it to the garage, fix it, and flip it. If it's a dryer or a electric stove, those two things typically are very easy and almost always less than $50 to fix. The things that go wrong in them are fairly typical. Now, if it's a higher end all digital one and it's some kind of circuit board, don't even worry about it. Not at all, right? Because it's not worth trying to fix. But any kind of standard dryer or electric stove, super simple to fix. Now, fridges, freezers, and washing machines, they're another story. If you want to frig with them, you can. Freezers, I don't know. There's not much can go wrong with a freezer, but when they die, they tend to die. Fridges they can be simple fixes, and they can be expensive fixes. And washing machines, in my estimation, most times it's not worth fixing a washing machine unless it's something like a door switch or something like that. But if it's like a direct drive coupling or something, there's so much weight, so much movement, and so much moisture that washing machines deal with. They can end up being really nasty fix. Chris Dixon says, anything with refrigerant, get rid of it. Yeah, it's just not worth it. But other than a dolly cart, a good pair of adjustable pliers is all you need to be able to hook up and unhook a washer and a dryer for the most part, and you're set. Always, always, always replace the washing machine hoses. Even if the customer says, don't worry about it. If the new washing machine comes with hoses, replace them. It's just cheap insurance. Let's see. Yep, that's exactly it. Renegade says freezers are usually a new compressor worth more than the new freezer. Yeah. So to replace a new compressor on a freezer is as much or more than the new freezer itself. Yeah, it's not worth it. And like I said, fridges, same thing. Washing machines, they're in the gray area. Dryers and electric stoves, super simple to fix, and they're worth it. But the other stuff, usually not. So that is the 10. Did I forget any? I'm sure I did. Do I have another 10? Absolutely. We're going to do another one, I believe, next Saturday night. 10 more side hustles or services that you can start and make some money with, because this has been my bread and butter for a lot of years, and it feels really weird to be moving away from this stuff, actually. It is what it is, you know? Becky mentioned to me the other day, this is going to sound so weird, but she mentioned about packaging up all seasons maintenance, just the grass and the snow, and selling it for enough to buy a couple of rental properties, and spinning off all seasons and just turning what I have into just strictly property management. And it's something we're seriously considering. And I can't believe we're considering doing this after less than 7 years in business, but it's crazy how much things change. Now, could I hire people and have them run for me? Sure, but that's not what I want to do. I love doing this property management, but all of this stuff that I have done has brought me to the point where I'm doing this crazy amount of property management. So whatever you need to do, do it, right? Yeah. One Step says, Tim's moving on up. Way to go. This is what entrepreneurship does. If I listed the other day, we had a great conversation in the Telegram group about what I call the 12 pillars of preparedness. And you guys are going to get a great meme out of it. You're going to get a great 12-part series. It's going to be a Thursday series, maybe once a month, twice a month. And we have a great, what is that called? An anagram? I don't think that's the right word for it. But anyway, it's going to be awesome. I am looking forward to it. But one of my 12 pillars of preparedness is entrepreneurship. And it needs to be. Now, that does not mean that absolutely everybody says you need to be your full-time boss. But every taste of entrepreneurship you can put into your life will build self-reliance, independence, and it will give you more money. Now, that may not mean you might say, but Tim, you don't understand. It's okay. You don't have to do it. I'm just saying, if you work somewhere right now that has incredible health benefits and you have health issues and you need to stay there, no worries. But it's not stopping you from starting a little side hustle on the side and making a little extra cash, because even an extra $100 a week is an extra $5,000 a year. And who couldn't use an extra $5,000 a year? And here's the other thing. You absolutely might find out that, holy shit, I can work. How do you want to put it? Now, early on, yes, you have to work your ass off, but you could. Here's the thing. As you work into a business, you all of a sudden find out that you can work way less hard and make way more money. It's just that simple. And all of a sudden you get addicted to it and you're like, wow, this is the life I need. Thanks, Ted McDonald. I love you coming in here, brother. Always great to have you. And this is what it ends up being, Chris. Chris says employees will bite into your freedom that you enjoy with your property management. And that is the nail on the head, because I'm going to Tennessee for 7 weeks. And now I am going to hire someone that can take care of property management for me. But that is as simple as making a phone call when I need to talk to somebody. That's not, well, I'm on the side of the road with a mower and I don't know what, anyway, it is what it is. I need to have somebody. Becky can take care of most of that for me, because in property management, 90% of what I do is go look at the problem and call in the expert. If it's something simple, I have lots of professionals that I can hire to go in and do it. Will it cost me a little more than me doing it myself? Sure. I'll pay for it out of pocket so that I can have that extra freedom while I'm gone for those 7 weeks. no problem. But if you have a bunch of employees, exactly. Now, could I make more money with it? I could make extra money, but it's not worth the freedom that it takes away from you. So there it is. Yeah, Gingerbread says, yes, businesses are like Lay's potato chips. Once you have one, you can't just have one. And it's true. They stack up after a while. I love you, Josh. You're awesome. He says, in 10 years, Tim is going to be telling us how moving on from property management is the next big step and how he has made more money than Elon. I don't know. If it wasn't for my wife, if it wasn't for both of us, we wouldn't be in the position we're in. So find something you can do. Find something you love. Find something that has hope in it that you know can make you enough money to build that self-reliance, and fucking run with it, guys, because you will be surprised at how quick things can happen. Now, the day-to-day, you look at it and you're like, I just don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm building. I'm not growing. But commit to doing it until you succeed, and you will succeed. Simple as that. You might need to parlay into something different, but if you pay attention to the markets and do the things that are making you the most money for the least amount of work, you will absolutely do great things. Surf Claude says, even if your business is not very profitable at first, you can use it judiciously to claim a lot of expenses, helping reduce the tax bill. 100% Surf. And I actually have an episode. Again, you guys know I keep notes constantly in my phone, and I have one coming up. And it may actually, maybe you guys have seen this. I might have actually already booked it. I just forget. But it's about the benefits. It's about the benefits of needing. Let me back up here. It's the benefits of being your own boss. And there's spoken benefits and unspoken benefits, and one of the best ones is the ability for the tax bill. And do what you love, and let people see what it is that you love. Absolutely. And fuck yeah, brother. Chris Dixon says, love what you two are doing up there, and I appreciate it. Fake it till you make it, and it's true. You know, I haven't done anything great or special. We just kept doing until we found what we needed. And you know what? This week's been a hard week. Becky's going away. I'm going to miss her to death. But we had a couple of financial things that came right out of fucking left field that we didn't see. Things that 5 years ago would have fucking broke us, guys. Things that we didn't know were coming at all. And it's not the end of the world. It sucked, but it didn't even hit us that hard now. But it's not like that wasn't something that, and it's hard to get rid of those old feelings, those old ways of life, because when you see those big numbers, all of a sudden you're like, fuck me. But it is, right? It just is. And things have turned out incredible. Becky's going on a trip to England. What can I say? It's fucking incredible. RP, I can never know how to pronounce your name. We're going to call him ARP. Says YouTube University. That's how I learned how to do Windows. It's how I learned how to run an aerator. I don't even know how many things I learned at YouTube University. But guys, thanks for coming, Surf Claude. We woke up as baby. See, I was yelling too loud. But that's going to be it for me now, guys, because my wife is leaving on a jet plane tomorrow. So I'm going to go up and chill out with her for the next hour or two before we go to bed. And I'm going to enjoy the hell out of the time we get to just sit there and hang out with the dogs, because we fucking made our life the way we want it. And that is what any one of these small little friggin' things can do for you. So let's leave it at that, guys. I love you guys. You're great. Thanks for coming in here. It's never work when I get to come down here and talk to you. So thanks, Gunfighter. I see you there. And as always, folks, and tomorrow night, don't forget, Snow Farms. It's Snow Farms or Snow Family Farms. Russ and Andrea, they're going to come on and talk about the importance, what an apt topic, the importance of having a supportive partner in business ventures like that. And I will, guys. I see all the love for Becky. I'll let her know. I appreciate you. So, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great fucking week.